Sharada Sharadam Bhoja Vadana Vadanambuje Sarvada Sarvadasmakam Sannidhim Sannidhim Kriyat Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Varyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Bharati Karunapatram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudham Bharati Tirthamashraye Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vedaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvajnam Vidushekara Bharati. So in the last class, we saw the first part of this talk, happiness versus peace. How does Sandhyavandanam help? Today, we are going to focus on part 2. If you didn't attend last class or if you haven't seen the part 1, I would highly encourage you to see the part 1 and then see this video, so it will help you better. So last class, what did we cover? Let's just quickly recap and move on. We saw about happiness. There are two spectrums we talked about. On the left end, you have activities that give you a lot of happiness. On the right end, I said there are activities that give you a lot of peace. And then we gave you examples of activities that come in between, which gives you a sort of a mix of happiness and peace. We explained the differences. We also talked about how Sandhyavandanam and Kundalini Yoga are related. We talked about the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 parts of yoga as explained by Patanjali. And then we also talked about how pranayamam and dhyanam are already incorporated in Sandhyavandanam. We also talked about how asanas are there, but not in a big way. Sandhyavandanam doesn't focus on asanas that much. But what we have to understand is asanas are only a temporary aid. They will take you only so far. That's probably one of the reasons our rishis did not really include asanas in Sandhyavandanam. For the masters, if they knew it was permanent need, they would have definitely included it. Because it's a temporary aid, it was not added in Sandhyavandanam. So now we are going to get into more details on what is all this about. How does Sandhyavandanam really support all of this? So the first thing to note, it's a busy picture, especially for the boys in the class. It may be a little bit too much to understand, but I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible for you. So imagine you're sitting down, and from the bottom of your spine all the way to the top of your head, there are several nerve centers that our ancestors have said exists. And these nerve centers, they're all along your spine. And there are actually 6 of them inside your body. And the 7th one is sort of transitioning. It's neither in your body nor outside your body, somewhere there. It's between both. So there are 7 centers like this. And what they say is, these are nerve centers. That means, like I told you last class, the Kundalini, that is the conscious energy that goes up and down. That conscious energy travels along these nerve centers or these energy centers. That is what they have designed. And they've got names for everything and all. Let's not get into the names and get lost. But the bottom line is the so-called Kundalini, like I said, the conscious energy is sitting at the bottom. It is sitting at the bottom. Let me choose some pointer to show you clearly. Watercolor brush, ballpoint pen, arrow. Let me choose this. Can you see this arrow? So it is sitting at the bottom there, at the bottom of your spine, the base of your spine. Having sat there, it is dormant. So it is there from your birth. It is just sitting there. When somebody gets spiritually awakened, or when you do things like this breath control, pranayamam, asanas, or you do dhyanam or meditation, the sort of things that you do in Sandhyavandanam, this starts rising, starts going up slowly. And depending on how capable and how strong you are, how mature you are in terms of practicing all this, it goes all the way to the top. So this is keep going up and down. That's the first thing that we have to understand. And the other thing you have to understand is you can see these curved lines. There is a solid line in the middle that is called the Sushumna Nadi. And then there are two other lines on either side you can see, Ida and Pingala. There are two nadis as well. So the one Ida and Pingala actually represent Shiva and Shakti. Some people say masculine and feminine energy. Whichever way you look at it, doesn't matter. The bottom line is the Sushumna is the central one, and these two sort of go around it like a snake. It's going like this, just like this. That is the reason many people draw a picture of a snake when they have to talk about Kundalini. So all this energy is going up. That's the second thing to note. The next thing to note is all these three nadis, they cut in these energy centers. They cross over. I told you about 6 energy centers, but they come to the top here, and then you can see this Ida and Pingala stop. They merge with the Sushumna, and what goes after that to the top is only this Sushumna. Okay, so those are the key points to note. Next, let's see what happens. Now, at the bottom itself, at the base of the spine, actually it's right on this energy center. Just to show you, I put it a little bit up, but it's actually right down here. It's called Brahma Granthi. What is that Brahma Granthi? It is a knot. So that knot, what does it do? It is tied up. It's tied. That means it's this energy initially is not going to go up because the knot is stopping it. How do we know that? Even if you look at Lalita Sahasranamam, that's what it says. Mooladharai Nilaya Brahma Granthi Vibhedini. Vibhedini means she pierces it and goes through that. So, but initially, before piercing, it is sitting down there. That means why this Kundalini energy is dormant. For somebody, this Brahma Granthi, if it hasn't opened, it is still dormant. It is sitting there. Next, if she goes up a little bit more, and then what happens? The next one comes. Vishnu Granthi. Manipuranta Rudhira Vishnu Granthi Vibhedini. That's again Lalita Sahasranamam says that. The second knot. That also again is going to stop her. So Manipuranta Rudhira Vishnu Granthi Vibhedini. And then, so what does this mean? So each knot is stopping the progress of that person spiritually. Is going somewhere and then it stops. So herein lies the answer to one of the questions I think somebody was asking last class. Can you initiate Kundalini? Kundalini initiation, this and that. Really, you can see the answer here. Why I was saying no, it is not really possible for anybody. If it is designed that for somebody's Brahma Granthi or Vishnu Granthi is not going to open, they are going to only live in these 3 centers. That is where the energy is going to flow. It cannot go beyond that. So if you look at these 3 centers, they relate to Bhur Bhuva Suva. Bhur Bhuva Suvaha. We say it in Gayatri. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha. But I have also told you those 3 worlds are the material worlds. The material worlds where everything is happening. And only beyond that, you get into the ethereal world from the material world from here. So if the Vishnu Granthi doesn't open for somebody, no matter how hard they try, they'll be only a material person. They'll be interested in material things and all that. To go beyond that, it has to open, and then only they can get into the ethereal world. Then as it opens, then the next one is there is no stop. It just goes right through, and the next stop is only Rudra Granthi, right in your the spot between your eyes. The middle spot is called Ajna, between the eyebrows, inside that. So imagine a horizontal plane right here, that entire horizontal plane. Inside that in the middle is that Rudra Granthi. When that also opens, that is when it is said to be that your Sushumna Nadi has opened. When the Sushumna Nadi is opened, this Kundalini goes all the way to your top there. So those are some of the key points to note. The progression from here to there, it varies person by person, and also varies by your practice, your how much you are really practicing all of this. So all those factors come in, and that is why each person is different. Somebody never goes up, and so they're stuck here, and they will say, I don't know, in Sandhyavandanam and all, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I just pray. It's okay. I'm being a good person. So I'll do a lot of good activities. That's enough. Somebody who is more material oriented, the reason is that. Somebody who is able to go past that, and then they will have their own philosophy. All those variations are all because where this is sitting in that person's system. It's dynamic also. It changes. So the next thing to note, this Kundalini Yoga or the rise of Kundalini represents a major spiritual transformation that represents the liberation of your soul. So it is a very, very critical aspect, very important. But the main thing to note from now on, till now, whatever you saw, it's mostly well known. It's all documented. There's nothing unusual about it. But from now on, the effects that we are going to talk about are mostly experiential. That means they are rarely recorded or illustrated. So, because it is rare or it is uncommon, I want to make a point very clearly. The thing about uncommon knowledge is it's rare and special. But unfortunately, it can also come with arrogance. So, if the delivery of the knowledge is not done by the appropriate person, it can appear arrogant. So I really pray to the Jagat Gurus that whatever I'm going to say comes out with humility and not arrogance. That is my intent. So this Kundalini, it starts going up, like we said earlier, along the Sushumna Nadi. And when that comes up, and finally, when the Rudra Granthi is pierced and opens, the so-called third eye or Agnya Chakra opens. And then when that opens, you can feel the third eye in its presence in your forehead. Third eye doesn't mean, don't think of your alien movies and all that, Star Wars. There's a guy walking around with the eye here, probably many eyes. Or remember Monsters Inc. There's only one-eyed monster that between the two guys who are partners, the little one has a big eye here. It's not like that. There's nothing going to be sticking out. It is something that you feel internally. It's not something external. And the next thing to note, when that happens, the seventh chakra that I told you, either that is neither inside nor outside, that one, Sahasraram, that also opens up. When you're able to feel all that, and then this so-called things like aura, if you see pictures of God, any God, even in other religions, you can see around the head of even Jesus, you can see there's a light. People put a light. So all gods, saints, they'll put a light around them. That is called aura. Buddha has that. So that kind of aura also develops slowly. All these kind of changes, the key gate is this Rudra Granthi. So you can see it's fairly advanced. It's not for everybody. Once you get there, then you can visualize it. Who gets there? Like I said, depends on partly destiny, because not every soul is meant for total liberation. So partly destiny, which is the same as saying partly based on the person, and second, partly based on abhyasam or practice. How much are you practicing? Whatever you need to. All that put together, it decides. So the next thing to note, let's see how all this Kundalini Yoga is built in Sandhyavandanam. First thing, many people ask me, I just chant Gayatri. Why chanting Gayatri alone is not good? I'll just chant Gayatri. The problem with just chanting Gayatri is the rituals, they have steps to protect you from distractionary, unwanted evil forces. So do these forces exist first? Definitely they do exist. Simply because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You can't visualize it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. I can't see God visually. He doesn't come around every day in the morning saying, hello, how are you? Good morning. Please get up. Only 5 more minutes left to get to school. He doesn't say any of that. But that doesn't mean he doesn't exist. But he comes in the form of mom. Mom comes and bugs you to get to school. So he comes and shows his presence in different ways. But that doesn't mean he's not there. The same way, the evil or unwanted forces, they're also there. And they show their way in different things. You'll sit for Sandhyavandanam, I can't do it. I don't want to do Sandhyavandanam today. Why do I have to do? All those things. Those are the ones. We remember we have talked about Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi, saying it 3 times. For what? Number 1, distractions from inside. Number 2, distractions from the environment. Number 3, distractions from devas themselves trying to test us. That is why. So even when you're doing Sandhyavandanam, you can see we put this ring fence around us 3 times, not once. What do we do? What do I mean by ring fence? We put the water around us by saying Om Bhurbhuvasvaha or Bhurbhuvasvarom. So this mantra Bhurbhuvasvarom itself acts like a armor or kavacham. So if you think of video games, many of these guys I have seen, the boys when they play especially, they're busy trying to acquire all this ammunition. He wants to hold a lot of ammo. That's all these guys focus on. But I feel you should first get that armor. If you don't know how to protect yourself, what's the point in having a lot of ammunition? You got to know first how to defend yourself. And that is why, because this Om Bhurbhuvasvaha is part of Gayatri, we say Gayatri itself is believed to be a protective armor or protective kavacham. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha, we keep saying that again and again in that mantra. That is why it's a protective armor. Next thing to note, pranayamam, I have already told you last class itself, at least 10 you're supposed to do. And the best thing is to inhale, hold the breath, and we are holding the breath, chant the full mantra of pranayamam, and then you release it. Next, if you have gotten good at that, the next step to try is you can inhale, hold, and exhale with each one pranayama mantra long. That is, when you're inhaling, you're saying the full mantra, Om Bhu, Om Bhu, and then all the way go to the end, hold it, again saying the full mantra, and then you're releasing it. When you're releasing, again you're saying the full mantra. So that is almost 3 mantras long, alternating between the nostrils. You can go up to that. There are more advanced forms, and it is advisable to practice them only with the Guru. The more advanced forms is not for everybody. You have to be careful. So I would say best just inhale, hold it, say the mantra once, exhale. That's more than enough for the boys in the class. As you grow up, and if you need more, you can go to this step, inhale, hold, exhale with one mantra long. Beyond that, you don't need to go. You need to work with a Guru carefully. The asanas, like I said earlier, they have a limited purpose. They will take you so far. After that, you may not need it. Like the point I mentioned where the Rudra Kanthi opens and all. If somebody has come that far, asanas are no more going to make that big a difference for that person. And again, it's always advisable to learn asanas under the supervision of a guru, because you're going to bend your spine and all that. And if you don't do it properly, you can hurt yourself. So you need guidance in this. Somebody had asked the question last class, I could not cover it. Surya Namaskaram, is it good? Yes, Surya Namaskaram is good. Why? Most of these asanas that work on your spine, they're all sort of built into Surya Namaskaram. It helps. But unfortunately, it's not enough. You will have to add another one called Ardha Matsyendra. So in Ardha Matsyendra, you twist your spine like this. You're twisting. That twisting, you don't do it in Sandhyavandanam. So that's why Surya Namaskaram, sorry. So Surya Namaskaram is good, but not enough. You have to add some more. At least if anybody wants to know more, and again, the warning is they practice with caution and supervision. Probably these are the most 3 asanas that I would recommend. At least Paschimottanasana, Dhanurasana, Ardha Matsyendra. There are other things like Halasana. So many you can add. But basic, at least these 3. If somebody can do that, that's a great start. Then we talk about the Dhyanam, that is the Gayatri, when you're doing the Gayatri Japam. And if you see, what is really surprising to me, I have not come across any Japam in our rituals where they ask you to stand and do. Gayatri is the only one that I know where they ask you to stand and do both morning and afternoon. So I've always thought about, why are they making you stand and do? Evening you can sit, but not morning and afternoon. Why? And every time we say 108 Gayatris each time. So I started getting more into it, and I started analyzing. This is full of physics, believe it or not. So you have something called center of gravity. Everybody knows that. This center of gravity, when you're sitting versus when you're standing, it's different. When you're standing, automatically the center of gravity is at a higher level. Next, if you see in the morning, we keep our hand here against your face. But in the afternoon, we keep it against our chest. So every time you're moving your hand like this, what happens is your mass is shifting. Go read your physics textbooks, you can see it. This is all documented. It's all science, physics. And when your hands are lifted and you're standing up, what's happening? Your center of gravity is going up in the body. When the center of gravity goes up, your morning, you can see it's at the highest. when you're holding it like this. Now, if somebody is seriously doing yoga and they can even lift this leg, one leg. So now you're standing on one leg with hands like this. So now for that person, they've shifted their mass more up. So their center of gravity has even gone up some more. And in the afternoon, when you keep our hand here, the center of gravity has come down a little bit. You can still be standing with one leg, but your gravity has come down. Next, you're coming down further. In the evening, when you're sitting, the center of gravity has come down. So our ancestors have designed it in such a way the center of gravity keeps going up and down every day, at least 3 times. What does that do? It's interesting. When the center of gravity, whenever it goes up, like I said, the mass of the body is shifting up. But when the mass is going up, the body becomes more and more unstable. As your center of gravity goes up, you become more unstable. Imagine, can you stand on one leg? You'll easily fall down, right? It's harder. So, but the interesting thing is when the center of gravity goes up, the so-called Kundalini energy, it goes up easier. So in an unstable body, this energy shifts up a lot easier. In a stable body, it's much harder for this energy to rise. This, our ancestors have figured all this out. And that's why they've defined these kind of rituals to be done in a certain way. And in the evening, they don't want this energy to be going up. Now you're getting ready to have dinner, do your homework, and go to bed. Given all that, the energy, center of gravity has to go down. That's why they have said sit in the evening and do Sandhya, Gayatri. Don't stand up. All that. It's an amazing discovery that they have done all those years back. And today, physics proves all this. You can see it. Center of gravity, what happens when it goes up to a body, what happens when it goes down towards a body, all that. The last part I want to leave you with is, so this Kundalini rising, it's a major spiritual transformation, like I said. It represents big changes in a person's body. And it is believed this goddess Lalita Tripura Sundari is believed to be that Kundalini Shakti. And you have to approach it with devotion, humility, and not to be taken lightly. The advanced stages, like I said earlier, can lead to major changes in life. Finally, I want to leave you with this prayer that may Guru Kripa and Goddess Tripura Sundari lead you on the right path, and may you all achieve plenty of happiness, of course, but more importantly, as you know the difference between happiness and peace now, achieve plenty of peace and lead a fulfilling, fruitful life. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.